everybody, it's Catherine. I am back with my final installment of the college advice, college apps advice. I'm not in college yet, so I can't give you college advice, but those videos of course will be coming because for some reason you guys have told me again and again that my advice is really helpful. So I'd like to say thank you guys for watching, and I'm happy to help. But yeah, this is the Q&A, so I've collected some questions you guys have asked. I think I've almost screenshotted every single one that was like not a repeat or actually a valid question. I will be going through all of those. If you have not seen the first 5 episodes, the last one's where I tell you guys where I'm going to college, so check that one out. And then they all have really great topics, and I'm honestly really proud of the advice I gave you guys because I wouldn't really change anything about that. And then I'd also like to say thank you all. I hit 10,000 subscribers about a week ago, and that's just insane. I could tell I was kind of climbing, and I was like anticipating that point, but I really don't make goals subscriber-wise for my channel. It's really just content-wise that I tried to focus. I'm really excited about that. And I decided not to wear glasses for this video just because I hate the glare that the light gives off the glasses, so contacts for the win. My first question is, what did you end up getting on each of your SAT 2 tests? And then following up with what level classes were you in when you took each of the subject tests? Like, were you through Spanish 3 or Spanish 4 when you took Spanish? Were you taking AP Bio or Honors Bio when you took the bio test? And math, like, what math lane was I in? So, I took 3 SAT 2s, and I covered this in my first segment of the college apps advice, and I took Spanish language, there was no listening, and then math 2, and biology E. And for biology you can choose E or M. It's either ecology or molecular, and I learned both in the class. I'm pretty sure any class you'll take you'll learn both. People told me to take the molecular, but once my friends and I got in there, we all just kind of came out and were like, we went for the ecology, because you can look it over and choose which. But the actual, I wasn't answering the question right there, I was just telling you guys a little tip. I had just completed AP Spanish, which was Spanish 4 when I took the Spanish exam, and I was pretty happy. There were definitely some things that I just completely guessed on, because there are native speakers taking it, like the curve is kind of skewed, but I ended up doing pretty well on that. And then for bio, I was in AP Bio, but I'd also taken like an advanced level of bio freshman year. So I had 2 levels of bio. I actually knew people that had taken the bio SAT 2 their freshman year after they took their freshman bio class, and I didn't really follow up with any of them, but that was an anomaly. There weren't many kids that did that, but you definitely can. Then you can end up with like 2 scores, and you can choose which one's better. But I was through AP Bio when I took it. I took them all in June, so I had finished all my classes instead of taking them in May when you haven't really studied for finals yet. And then, what's the last one? Math 2, I had just finished pre-calc my junior year, and it went up to trig. But if you just do a little bit of the review, you can get a sense for if you actually, because I had learned all the information, it was just a matter of recollecting it. So if you go and look online, look for a Math 2 practice test, you can refresh yourself on those concepts and see if you actually have learned them yet. But I would say after junior year is good. Like, don't wait for the summer, because you're not going to learn anything more in the summer before senior year. And then there's definitely people that took their Math 2 sophomore year, even freshman year, and you can take Math 1 as well. I would say if you're even a little bit competent in math and you're not completely discouraged by it, then take the Math 2. But Math 1 covers a lower range of subjects, so if you haven't learned, if you're not in the higher levels, then Math 1 you could take. Next question is, what about AP tests? I did not cover AP tests really in my testing segment of the college apps advice video, just because the AP tests, I feel like, don't play that big of a part in the college apps world. There's a place to put in your AP test scores, and I ended up taking 7 AP tests. Yeah, it took 7 AP tests by the end of my senior year, but when I applied to college I only had 2 AP tests, and that was Spanish and bio, and I got a 5 and a 4 on that respectively. I submitted both of those. If you get above a 3 I would submit it, but it's kind of the same impact as an SAT 2, except I think they like to see the SAT 2 a little bit more, but there are definitely some schools that say, you know, AP tests or subject tests, submit them. Yeah. Next question is, Catherine, how did you survive 5 AP classes? That was my senior year, and it was crazy. First semester senior year with 5 APs was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. I had done some advanced classes my freshman year, an honors class my sophomore year, and then an honors and 2 APs my junior year, and then 5 APs my senior year. And my senior year I was also taking my maximum number of classes. I was taking 8 classes when most people were taking 5 or 6. So I definitely had less time, but I really wanted to take all the AP classes that I was taking, but you just have to stay on top of it every day and just don't let yourself get behind. I tried to do this thing where in stats, second semester, I did all my homework the night before, because that's what basically everyone else in the class was doing, so I was like, well, if that's a good way to review before the test, I'll try that. But I did a lot worse in the test when I did all my homework the night before the test, so I'd say balance everything out and learn the information as you go. But I can't talk about how to survive AP classes in this video. It's really just how to get straight A's. That video kind of covers that. So I'll link it down below, as well as my other college videos, and you can go check that out if you are having problems. It's the same kind of application of how to get straight A's to AP classes. But if you think 5 is insane, don't take 5. Like, I didn't think it was insane because a lot of my friends were doing the same thing. So next question says, most people say junior year is the hardest academic year. Why do you think senior year was your hardest academic year? I'm going to be a junior soon, and I'm just kind of nervous. I took a lighter load my junior year, admittedly. A lot of my classmates took their stats class junior year, and they took APUSH, so they had like 4 APs when I had 2, and I didn't want to do that. I decided that junior year I had heard was the hardest year, and I didn't want to go insane, so I did not take that many classes. Junior year I kicked into gear, and I really got the teachers that I wanted, and I didn't let myself slip that much. But then, as I mentioned in the last question, senior year I just had a huge load, and I think that was the difference. I honestly do. I think it was just that 5 APs. I wouldn't be nervous. You'll be fine. Next question is, I read your essays and your writing is amazing, and basically just ask and I talk about how I got to that point where my writing is strong. I never really thought I was a strong writer. I always really enjoyed reading. I tried to write poems and other stuff when I was in elementary school. Going into middle school, I kind of didn't write as much because the teachers weren't that like strict in their teaching style, so they wouldn't teach that much grammar. They wouldn't teach that much of how to write. It would just kind of be how to write like in this format of topic sentence, a little bit of like a hook, you know, your thesis, your intro to the next paragraph. They would teach this 5-paragraph approach that was just really rigid and not fluid and not professional, honestly. It's a very sophomoric way to write. Once I read examples, then I have things that I try to emulate. And then when I got to my junior year, I had a teacher, Mr. Hernandez, and he was really amazing, and he basically confirmed that I actually was a good writer compared to the rest of the people. It's hard for me to say how to write, honestly, because I'm not an English teacher and I don't think I could teach English very well. It's just an innate gift, so I'm really sorry I can't answer that question very well, but just start reading other people's essays and essays that are deemed good if you don't think your writing is that great. Or just write like you're confident, write like you know what you're talking about, and it'll come through. When people aren't so confident in their writing, they end up just rambling, and the sentences get really long when they could be just a nice, concise, strong sentence. You don't need to write more than you have to. Next question is, thank you so much for the advice. I'm going to be a junior this year, and I have a tutor for the math section of the SAT over the summer. How do you recommend I prepare for the reading and writing sections, and how would you say the ACT is easier than the SAT? Okay, great. So you have a tutor for the math section, so I'm assuming that math is your weaker section. So the reading and writing, the critical reading is insane, first of all. It's unlike anything I've been used to. I'm a good English student, and critical reading is still a horrible section. I dread it to this day. The reading and writing sections for me are where the SAT tricks really come into play. I didn't like the SAT tricks, which is why I chose the ACT. So if you go buy just an SAT book that teaches you all the strategies, I think it's just the College Board version, or if you want to get Princeton Review or anything like that, you can. But those usually tell you how to strategize for those reading and writing sections, such as strategies like read the questions before you read the passage, or when you read the question, cover up the answers and try to think of what you would say first, because sometimes when you read the answers it'll skew what you were going to say originally. Stuff like that. I never could tell if the tricks were working for me though, so that's why I like the ACT. I am, first of all, a really fast test taker. I'm really good at just running through everything and then figuring out which questions I need to come back to and just getting it done and not overthinking during tests, because I overthink in every other aspect of my life. The SAT I had a lot of extra time on to just kind of overthink stuff, but the ACT there's no time, and I finished every section with just a little bit to spare, but there's no guessing penalty, and I liked the format of just math. I don't even know what the order is anymore, but it's like math, science, or math, reading, science, writing, or something like that. So you have 4 sections. Instead of the SAT, it's like math, critical reading, writing, math, writing, critical reading, writing, math. Like, it's like alternates, so you don't get just a block of time to work on one subject and then be done with that and put it away. For me, the ACT was easier. For others, the SAT is easier. So that's why I like taking both, if you can. Next question is, this is some great advice, but how do I prepare for the reading sections? Which I already answered. She basically asks how to organize her school stuff and if I could do a school organization video. And I didn't really organize my school stuff for high school that originally. Like myself, I didn't do that much creative process into how I was going to group everything. It was basically just the teachers telling me, okay, you need a math notebook, and for science teachers it was like, you need a binder with these labeled sections and blah blah blah. And then for everything else I just used folders, because I honestly I'm not that big into organization, at least for school supplies, but in college I have no idea how it's going to play out. If I decide upon a good organization system, I will make a video about it, but for the most part I think it's just going to be my laptop and my bag and a couple of folders and a pencil pouch, and yeah. So I don't think I'm going to need that much stuff, and I really can't help you for that, but there are some great YouTube videos that just came out I watched today about school organization from Strawberry Electric 48 and A-Dubs. They just made some stuff, and their stuff is really cool, and I might even try that out because I like it so much. Last question is about teacher recommendations, and they asked, do you think it would be okay if I asked my freshman year Spanish teacher? We have a great bond and going into junior year, but this video got me thinking. One problem I see is that I won't be taking Spanish anymore, so I'm not sure. Great video, thanks for all the help. This is actually so applicable to what I was going through. So at the end of my junior year, I was kind of looking at stuff, and I knew my math teacher was going to be a great resource because he'd given me a math award, and I could tell he really liked me, and I was doing exceedingly well in his class. And then I needed a humanities. So I was pretty sure I was going to use my Spanish teacher because I'd had her sophomore year and I was in her class junior year. And I honestly was a better student in her class sophomore year because junior year Spanish got a little weird, and for some reason it was less talking in Spanish in class and more just like writing stuff. So I don't know if she saw as much potential in me junior year. And she was also retiring that year. So I felt like, okay, well, I hope she still writes my rec even though she's retiring. So I asked her one day and she said sure, por supuesto, and then gave me her email, and I was pretty sure I was going to use her, but then I decided no. My English teacher, who I mentioned before, Mr. Hernandez, I'd only had him for like 3 months before I asked him, and I honestly didn't know that he even knew who I was. But then he started commending me on my writing, and I realized this is a person that really sees the value in my schoolwork and really appreciates my ethic. And he's an English teacher, so I knew that his writing would be really great. My Spanish teacher, I could also tell, was a very intelligent lady and would write well. But I decided that he kind of knew me a little better, and I wasn't so sure about getting a Spanish teacher to write my rec letter, so I ended up kind of just not following up on that with my Spanish teacher and asked him. And that turned out to be a really amazing thing because he wrote an insanely good rec for me, and he let me actually read it, which most people don't, but he was like really proud of what he wrote for me. So for you, I would say, oh, another thing, I wasn't going to take Spanish my senior year, which she knew and I felt a little weird about. So definitely you could still ask your freshman year Spanish teacher. I don't see that many people doing that. Most of the people that ask a freshman year teacher ask them because they've had them junior year or senior year. So if there's any way you can take that Spanish class senior year just so that she can, refresh her memory about her. Otherwise, if you have a great bond and you're still really close, I think that's fine. If she still remembers how your work ethic is and you think it's going to be a better rec than asking someone that does not know you as well, then yeah, go for it. I just say it's more common for people to ask someone that they had junior year, even if they're not someone that had like a great bond with them. People just usually go with what everyone else is doing. In the end, it's all about how strong your recommendation letter is. So if you are going to put 2 out there, make sure that they're both quality, and if you think she's going to write a better quality one than another teacher, I would say go for it. Thank you so much for staying with me these entire 6 college apps advice videos. If you have any follow-up questions for the things I answered in this video, if you want any clarification, leave some comments down below, and also make sure that you've enabled me to reply to your comments, because some people comment and I can't reply to it, and then I'm stuck. All I can do is like the comment and I can't reply. So make sure that's on, and leave me any questions you have down below, and I'll try to get to those since I'm not going to make another one of these Q&A videos. But yeah, I'll see you in my next video, and Cather out.